Hello, self, cosmos, universe, Ohana. This is Soul Dr. Nick here. It is March 28th, 2025, Friday, just about 8 a.m. now. We have officially hit sunrise. We've got the long infrared light. Standing up now outside because it's not raining in this current moment and just enjoying myself. I was debating whether to do a part 2 of this or not, and I decided, you know what? Let's see what comes out. Let's see what comes forward. Let's actually start moving and grooving and being with all of this. Scratching next to me, noticing my skins. Yesterday I was also shedding the skins of the chameleon. Oh my God, I stepped into platypus energy. Hilarious. Of all the animals, the ridiculousness of the platypus, right? A duck-bill for not just laying eggs, but an egg inside that has to hatch and the little one has to crawl up to a place where it receives nutrition. Like, it's just a ridiculous animal. And it has poison in it as well, as I think. And I'm just like, of all the spirit animals to step into, how much of a joke it is to step into a platypus. And it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, it just is there. And then there's a part of me that was like, oh, finally, it's time to get rid of this Drobo, time to get rid of these hard drives, time to get this old shame, guilt, baggage, digital baggage that I've been holding on to. And just letting it go. There's so much stuff on there and letting it go. And the one piece that I would like to get off is some of the pictures and then letting it go. And trusting that I've gotten all the pictures I need, all the data that I need to. Like, part of it right now is recognizing all the records that need to be there are there. And that thing, a large part of it, is probably a shit ton of, all right, we're just gonna say it because it's magic mirror work, a shit ton of porn, I think. And that's just it. Like, how much of that part of my life, that stuff, do I want to hold on to? And it's funny, like, I was listening to, I think, T.L. Swan, and she was saying, like, what kind of almost perversion you think you get into, your voids become your values, even there. And for me, and I recognize that they're actors. I see them as actors. I see them as performers acting out non-consensual fantasies. And there's a part of me that has that piece. It's almost wanting to take power, so to speak, but in a really, I'm still trying to navigate that and learn that about myself, because the moment I actually say that, there's instant shame that comes up. And I don't know if it's shame or just patterning and programming. And then just reminding myself inside of a safe container how beautiful it is to be taken control of or to take control. Like, I mean, how much money do people pay dominatrixes these days who do their job really well? Because they can create a safe container where you can also completely surrender. And that's part of what my bodywork session in a way felt like yesterday. Not a dominatrix, let's be clear about that. But I felt able to surrender. I felt able to just be with my secrets, to not have to try to hold things in, to not try to modulate, to control, to notice when I'm like in the wanting space, in the smaller space, versus wanting to always be seen a certain way and being like, all right, this is my time to actually be me. And not me in the sense that this is the real me and that's not the real me. It's like, these are the times to be with those parts that I've been hiding in there. Again, coming back to that 78%, and I love that. When I was with my dear friend, she was like, I can notice all the energy just left the room. Where did it go? And I'm like, oh my God, I have the ability to just clear out the energy because I'm just shutting down so much. And then when the excitement and the playfulness come back out, it's like, oh, we're having fun again. Okay. This is the ability to create, to destroy, create, destroy, create, destroy. And even right now for myself, I'm realizing, okay, I'm having a little bit of fun. I can shake things out. I can move things out a little bit. And how important it is to shake and to move. And it's funny, my little man is singing, unlimited. The future is unlimited. And it truly is. The future is unlimited. I've just had a vision and it sounds crazy. And true, the vision's hazy. And that's it as well. It's like, how do I not try to call in and expect and control what's going to happen? Be surprised and delighted about it as well. And I can both anticipate something and be surprised and delighted at the same time. It's like I can create something, have something on the calendar, and still be surprised and delighted. Noticing all these parts of myself. All these parts of myself. Parts of myself. Parts of myself. And then looking around at all these developments, these building developments, they're so cheap. I'm just going to take a look out there. Like they're just hollow wood frame buildings, and they're not even solid wood. A lot of it is like kind of like this particle board pressed wood stuff. And I'm like, it's hidden behind this veneer. And how is that our society today? How is it that Canada today's the freedoms have rolled back so much? The freedom to just be, to breathe. And there is still such freedom as well. And that's the piece. It's noticing the both and. And how do I know it's kind of a little fucked up? Like I'm looking out here at the dumpiness of some of this. And I'm actually realizing what a freedom it is to have some dumpiness. That it doesn't all have to be fixed up exactly the same way. Like it's part of those dystopian future movies where everything is gentrified. At the same time, it's like, everything must look perfect. It's kind of looking at like Fort Langley, and it's almost too perfect. Here even there's a lot of landscape, and it's almost too perfect. And how much stuff are we spraying? And short term, we're getting the result that we think we want. Long term, what are we doing by polluting ourselves? Geoengineering. Short term, we get the results that we think we want. But long term, what are we actually doing? Is it something we want to keep up? Is it something we want to maintain? And then how many plants are we maintaining instead of cultivating a symbiosis with nature? And then noticing if you're actually creating a co-living space, there's going to be lots of different people who want to own things differently and have a different energy about it. And then we start taking things for granted. And part of it sometimes is the control piece. Someone will be doing something because they want to own it so much that they control it so they're actually missed when it's not there. And I can recognize that for myself too. So let's bring it back to me. How is it that I'm creating sometimes a system so that if I'm not there, it matters? And that's part of what has me say in my purpose statement, in my love list. It's like, whether I'm there or whether I'm not there, it's going to be okay. And I add to the experience. And I am a key component. I'm just looking at my fire going, do I want to sit by it again? Because I'm feeling a little bit of a chill. And I'm practicing moving with the chill. Okay. Working with the legs, working with the strength of this body. This body has such strength to it. And it feels so good to move in it again. Part of it, in terms of physicality, my own physical nature, is to feel really good in my body. In a way. And it's funny, I'm looking at Stig. He's the world, like, you know, he's held his breath for over 20 minutes. Like, that is with breathing pure oxygen, but still, 20 minutes, packing his lungs at least 3 times the capacity, increasing the pressure inside, and being able to build and develop that capacity. And then just letting it go. That was part of it yesterday morning. I don't always have to record. I don't always have to be creating, producing. The difference between creation and production. And part of it is noticing that edge. When am I actually being creative? When am I just producing to produce? And then part of it is actually a fine line, not a fine line. Part of it is confusing because I'm doing this over and over again, not just for first takes, not just for the moment, but how am I entraining my conscious, my subconscious, my mind, my submind, so that we're on the same path. Oh yeah, we actually want to move and groove with this body. We want to sing more, and as I sing more, my little man sings more, which is so cute. And he's trusting himself and just loving his voice. And I could judge and be like, oh my God, I am usually more in tune than him. But I am not even close to the level of cuteness and the close to the ability for other people to want to hear that he is at, because he's him and he's exactly where he's supposed to be. And I'm reminding myself of where I want to be and getting there, because I'm like, I can choose. I can choose to sing more. I can choose to feel more free. And again, that paradox of choice. What if there is no choice? What if it just is? And then spiritual work doesn't have to be serious. It can be fun, like noticing the fun that we're having. Noticing yesterday I was getting some of the deepest body work I've gotten. And I was like, not feeling any pain. And able to remind that my mind can't feel the pain, And then my body also isn't feeling pain. Like it's not tensing up, it's not contracting, it's not resisting, it's not trying to hide. And then noticing through that, I was able to transport myself to my dad's shoes, to my grandparents' shoes. Noticing my grandparents on my dad's side, I could acknowledge them. I learned how to use the chopstick so well in grade 6 because there's a story I told myself, or was told, however it turns out, that I was like, I can't eat until I actually hold these properly, so I held them properly. And then I learned how to eat spicy curry with everyone else because my grandpa made such amazing spicy chicken curry. So delicious. And it was fucking spicy to me at the time. And I didn't like spice at all at the time at first. And then by the end of that year, loved it. And then reminding myself of the idea of perfection, reminding myself of playing, reminding myself that my grandparents in a way were miserable together by that time that I knew them. And then reminding myself, my grandmother gave me this fish, this fake little fish that my head was like this $1 trinket. It could have meant a lot. It could have been very sentimental, but it didn't seem like it. And I accepted it, but I didn't really accept it. I judged it. And then now I've got a beloved who can literally catch fish in her bare hands. And I'm like, thank you for all these little synchronicities that remind and reflect back life and the miracles and the mysteries of it. And then guiding myself back to my own ceremony last year where I was like, child's pose is so important. Doing this work is so important. And then being able to see and come back to the reality, blah, 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 and they're like, okay, I'm looking at you, looking at me, looking at you, look at me, creation is here. Being safe to go off into the singularity of the Big Bang. Being able to see beyond the seen, know beyond the known, and just imagining what is here, what is there in the cosmos. And energetically, if we're a holographic universe, like it feels like we are a holographic universe and need some of the cheat codes to get back into seeing the hologram. And then when we come back to, it's like, okay, this is just a hologram. And it's not just a hologram. Like that's part of it. It's the same thing as when I have a little crisis. It's a blessing to be able to see the crisis. Right now, it's a blessing to be able to see the hologramness of this and not try to pretend that this isn't it either. If I can embrace this as the current reality, have fun with it. Like, that was just it. Like, it was so profound. He's like, I know this isn't actually a steak, but I taste it, I feel it. I'm just gonna enjoy it like it's a steak. And I just want to be plugged back in. And there's a piece. I just want to be plugged back in is not a bad thing, but I recognize, do I want to be numb or numbed? Do I want to just exist? Do I want to just, the idea is playing the small game, but the big game isn't working myself to the bone and saying, I am so friggin' tired, I can justify this. And right now, creating so much magic mirror work, like it is building up a repertoire library. Like how many people can say they've created this many hours of YouTube content this quickly? And I'm not doing it by forcing myself to do anything. I'm doing it by just being here with myself, being here with myself, being here with myself, and being here with you. And then laughing and smiling about it. And I'm noticing how much, oh my God, I'm gonna go to the Nama J2 Juicer right now. Total promo if I was actually an affiliate or anything else like that, but holy crap. I just created another like 10 liters, hummingbirds flying together, so cute. 10 liters of juice yesterday. Doing a celery, tiny bit of parsley, cucumber, apples, and a squeeze of lemon in each jar. And it's easy and it's fun. My son wanted to help me, but I was like, no, today I just want to get it done. I'm tired a little bit and you've got other things to do. Let's just get it done today. And in future, happy to do some more with him. Happy to wash up a ton of veggies, because that's what I'm going to do next again, is wash up a ton of veggies, throw them in the fridge, and then juice them in a couple days, because it's time to wash up the rest of those veggies. And just noticing that it's very different getting veggies by the case lot versus getting them individually, because individually I imagine they're washed. Case lot, they are muddy and dirty. And then recognizing, even if they look clean, to clean them again, because I can't imagine they clean them as thoroughly as I clean them and soak them and everything else like that. So it's funny, as I'm learning about juicing, I'm learning about all these veggies, I'm learning about getting tens of pounds of veggies. Like I bought 5 bags, I think, of 3-pound bags, between us, 15 pounds of apples, another 4 pounds of grapefruit. Like, I'm buying 20, 30 pounds worth of fresh fruit produce a week now. Oh, I bought another 30 pounds as well of beets and carrots and stuff. Yeah, I'm buying like 50 to 60 pounds of produce fruit a week. And it feels really good. And it feels really good that my family is on board too, and they're enjoying it too. And that's so cool. Like, juicing not just for myself, but for family as well. Such a cool thing. Body's feeling better than it ever has. And that's what I wanted as well. I wanted to feel younger and more alive. So that's part of it. What are these love lists that I'm creating? Vocational, it is coming together and it isn't. Like, it is in the sense that I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the places, I'm feeling the blockness. So getting rid of that giant, big black box is going to create a lot of money. And so doing that sooner rather than later is important. So how? And I wanted to make a ceremony of it. I wanted to burn it, but is that what I really want to do? Is it just taking it apart? That could be it, just taking one of them apart or giving one of them somewhere else. Without the whole set, it cannot work. Without the whole set, it cannot work. So just taking one hard drive out. Well, they can't recreate it then. That's simple. Although one of them is hot swappable. 2 of them for sure. 3 of them guaranteed. So I just have to put them in different places. Different places, different fragments, different formats. Different kinds of electronic recycling. I can open them up and just see what's inside. I can just open them up and see what's inside. Well, let's do that sooner rather than later. Let's do that sooner rather than later, right? Why would I wait when I don't have to? Okay, I'm just thinking of these things out loud. Sometimes it feels silly to be doing that, and sometimes it feels really important just to noodle through things. Pyramids, again, giant buildings on top of the surface, but what's under the surface? What's in the subsurface? And giant pillars going down into concrete bases? What is all this about? And going kilometers down, and we're told it's just like this old ancient civilization that somehow used a shit ton of slavery to move these giant blocks in ways that we can't even fathom they're being moved, and yet we're still half sticking to that narrative of a primitive culture versus taking a look at the fact that maybe there were some races here that defy all of our current logic. And it's actually not defying our logic, it's defying our patterned stories that we've been trying to tell each other, which make a lot less sense in the fact that almost every civilization has mythical beings that probably are reflective of, if we want to call them extraterrestrials, and different technologies, because any technology sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic. And what if we are a hybridized race, just like we hybridize trees and everything else like that, good, bad, indifferent, and noticing that perhaps we could be coming in from other planets, races, everything else coming together in this mishmash. What if some of us are not just humanoid-like? And what would that mean? And do we have to be crazy to even imagine these possibilities? Or can I actually just be with these possibilities without having to try to convince anyone else? And in doing so, see that there's more potentiality in this human body. Like, I was like, I want to be a mantis shrimp. I want to be an octopus. I want to be a chameleon even. I want to have the ability to regenerate, to regrow. And instead of saying I can't, or taking a look at all those things like, oh, like you just start losing brain cells. Like all these silly little things that get taken in. Oh, I only use 10% of my brain. What if it's a misinterpretation? Yeah, there's many more of my thoughts that feel like they're just repetitive. That it feels like the subconscious and the conscious, like subconsciously taking over most of it. And as well, systems 1 versus systems 2 thinking, that first level is totally more the reactive, emotional, quick fight or flight, predator or prey right away, versus the two, the higher rational thought, the higher logical thought, the higher, more connected thought, which is like, how do I want to approach this? How do I want to analyze this? How do I want to see this? And then noticing when I can actually have even, there's, I think, another level of thought, which is just instantaneous. That's part of the channeling side of things. And then even the channel can get gummed up or blocked up. And that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm really clearing the channels of the channel. And then I'm not rushing it. Part of me wants to do this stuff over and over again. Like I want to do it again today. And then recognizing, how do I let go of that desire? Because that level of rushing doesn't allow for the integration. And last time to this time was 3 weeks, and I was excited for this. I was anticipating this. I was looking forward to this. And there's a part of me that's like, oh shit's gonna happen. And was a little nervous. Is like, how am I creating this with my beloved? And we went through our own stuff too, especially in the last week when I was really in my headspace of, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm screwing everything up. I had amazing 4 days of building, of changing. Like, look at this transformation here. Holy crap. Like, this whole balcony is different having this here. It's like having another room, and I'm using it so much more. I've already been up here. Combined time, more in the last 4 days than I have in the last month, probably. Like, that's crazy to imagine and think about, but it makes it so easy. And especially time up here spent in the rain or in the wet or in the gloominess, definitely time spent in the morning. And I'm really enjoying this morning light. Like, I'm just imagining what the photoreceptors of my skin are doing and the energy. And I'm trying to bounce a little bit more. In a way, creating some more space for manic. Like, I love that God-like feeling in bipolar is seen, but it's also seen as bad. And I think part of it is when it's not uncontrolled. I'm trying to think of what it is. Like, there's that peace, the grandiosity that's there. And a little bit as I'm allowing myself to step into some bipolar nature, the highs and the lows, and trusting that I'm finding myself and that I can raise and lower. And the more I can do it consciously, the more fun this life is. And when I'm trying to get to all positive, and that's part of the trap, then I'm missing out on a whole different facet of life. And it's not a whole half of life, because I don't think it's half positive, half negative. I'm shifting my point, and that's part of it, shifting that center point for myself over and over again. Where I think my normal is flying so much higher already. Higher than I could have imagined a decade ago, for sure. And I can't remember who I was talking to. It's like, we would never have thought we'd be here. Like, a decade ago especially, I never would have thought I'd be here. And a decade ago, I was living with my best friend, and we thought we had the biggest balcony, and it's tiny, minuscule in comparison to the ones that I have. And it's looking at a back alley, and we never used it except for sitting out there for barbecues a little bit. And then I had my giant room. I had the giant room this time because I had lived the room where I had a small room before, and now I had the giant room, and I paid a little bit extra. Okay. And then what else is there? We were paying a lot less rent. 2 bedroom, 2 bath for, I think it was like $2,100 or something like that, $1,800. And the reason we did that was because they were planning on selling. We got 2 years out of that, right? The only reason we got out of there was because they did sell. And if they didn't, I would still possibly be there because it's so comfy. It was so comfortable having the 2 couches, having the 2 TVs. And then there were times that I was playing, oh my God, I played so much Destiny, so much Titanfall. There are days that I just wake up and play. And I'm grateful that I got away with it. And if I went much further along that path and stayed there, there's a good chance I would have burned out again, and it would have been a repeat of Kevin and myself. And I'm grateful for the universe for saying, nope, we're not going to do this. And that was another start for another series of moves, moving in with my beloved, following her into her bachelor pad, no separate room, way too close, especially after I burnt out. Like that would have been just a disaster. And then finding our next space, a 1-bedroom basement, but really well appointed. But again, we had zero guarantee, and it was perfect again. Like when we realized we're leaving and they're like, we're selling the place. It's like, we're like, fuck. And it was exactly what needed to happen. Going off into Asia, that's 2016 now. Going off into Asia. Wow. Going off into Asia for 3 months. And it's just, those are transformative 3 months. Whew. Just being with all this right now. I'm gonna go sit down with some fire because I can definitely feel a little bit of a chill. Oh, let's turn this up a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love and fire pit. Come back from Asia, staying with our friends Matt and Lisa for a bit in their place. So grateful for that. Like I really didn't know them that well. Went to their wedding as the +1 because I really was the +1. I just really met Lisa, and that was really important to be there as the +1. And then going from there to Richmond, Phil's parents' place. And after we looked at so many places at that price point, because we got that place at $1,800. Yeah, it was $1,800. 2-bed, 2-bath, but we had to have a bunch of junk in there, especially in the 2nd bedroom. So it was really a 1-bed, 2-bath. And I never thought of the energetics of it all. I purely thought of the square footage, the price point, the hosting ability, and it was really good for hosting. There's all this free parking, people could come. We were the place to go because there's so much space. It was over 1,000 square feet. And how many people had that at that point in time? Giant bedroom, giant living room, giant dining room, furniture included. Yeah. Kept moving that TV around. Viv and Zach living there for a month as well, hilariously. While they were moving out to Chilliwack, that was their move. That's kind of interesting. That was the time, 2019 then. And then we were like, we've got to move to Vancouver Island. We got to check it out. We got to try it out. And the universe is so kind. Paul helped move us out there and then helped move us back, and staying with our friends Steve and Suzanne at their new castle. And then moving back, it was hilarious, right? So much stuff. And then the accident, and then being a little nomadic for a bit and then the upsetness my beloved had, like, why the fuck are we sleeping on these floors? But part of me, and I'm glad that time, like I wasn't ready to spend that kind of money. We hadn't fully integrated our finances. And I really wasn't making much. And there was such a pressure and such a not knowingness and such a fear of money, all this different stories of shame, of guilt and everything else. A control, a lack. And I'm just going through this for myself. And I'm going through these experiences again, reliving it to re-notice it, and then notice the tracks that I'm creating in. Part of it is, instead of highlighting the shames, the guilts, the brokenness, it's remembering for myself to highlight all these other parts too, for my son, with my son. And then every time I look at a story, to look at it with a new set of eyes. And I am rewriting history. Like sometimes it's funny because people are like, oh, you're changing the past, you're writing a new narrative. Yes, that's what we do. And then trying to be all good or all bad, like we notice the falseness of trying to create a politician's identity that way. And yet It's such a challenge to be with the reality of who they are and the nuance of who they are and the nuance of having self-interest and not always having to be united. I always thought it was so funny in the Canadian government that, like, the majority government, we all have to vote the same way. It's like, why? And the backbenchers have to. It's almost like you've got to be whipped. Like, why is it called a party whip, right? Like, shouldn't it be that you've got such a combined universal idealization, and having the ability to speak out, and choosing to say, I'm going to vote this way, and it's an and versus there's such a politeness, and it's noticing that. And even if there's two different kinds of blind spot, there's the blind spot that you totally can't see, and the blind spots that you've seen multiple times and you still go into it, and you're surprising yourself every time. It's like, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise when something triggers me, so to speak. It's not a surprise. Totally predictable. And yet I surprised myself. 31 minutes, damn. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to get to listening again soon, because it's important to listen as opposed to just be in the state of creating and putting out there. So thank you. Thank you for all this information. Thank you for this way of being. 8:28, half an hour before my own call. Hello again. Hello again. It's funny that we got lost. It's funny when the screen turns. Wow. There's like still another 5 videos to go. I need gigabytes of video. Whew. Oh, getting lost again, eh? Always getting lost. 90 gigabytes of video in the last just few days. About 5 gigabytes an hour, 90 gigabytes, that's 18 hours of video. It's definitely a bragging point as well. I won't lie. Like, there's a part of me that's like, I'm proud of how much shit I'm creating. And then there's a part where it's like, I'm just creating shit. So, we're going to talk about Magic Mirror Work again soon. We're going to talk about Magic Mirror Work's ability to see myself. I had only taken myself up till, nomading. I remember being on the floor actually near Port Moody in Port Coquitlam at Rav's second house, because I gifted Rav a breath session. I asked him if there's a place to stay, and we got to stay in his second house. This is in 2019, so before housing market took off again. And he wasn't sure he was going to be able to sell it. And it was a 4-bedroom, and we stayed upstairs, and we just stayed on the ground, and it was funny. And he had a fire. He had an indoor fire, and I actually lit it. And I was like, this is cool. I like having indoor fire. These different accents, these different design elements. He was a builder. He was a japa or something like that. So many people in my life want to be builders or are builders. And just trusting this process, trusting this progress. And then, I know who I am. I know who I want to be. I know who I am. I know who I want to be. I know who I am. I know who I want to be. noticing even the language that I know who I want to be. There's a wanting and a needing and a desiring. There's that peace. I'm going to come back to that. The place of gratitude is not just looking back and saying, thank you for everything that was. Thank you for everything that is. Like, it's the isness of it. Thank you for this fire. Thank you for this technology. Thank you for this earth. Thank you for this sky. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this juice. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this body. Thank you for this life. Thank you for my beloved. Thank you for my son who's singing unlimited in his sleep. And then recognizing that if I can change that locus from just like everything is happening right now and I've got to push to get forward, that whole idea of I've got to work hard to create results versus the paradox of it unfolding. The paradox of just responding, replying to what's happening around me. The paradox of it's already created, that there's nothing I have to actively try to create. The paradox of this life. Even, and I might go do some hape. 33, no. I'm glad every now and then I play that little game. It's the flipping of the coin game for myself. And part of it is not really practicing trusting my body the same way as the penduluming. And part of me doesn't trust. Oh, do I not trust myself? I'm not as familiar with the penduluming as I could be. Like every moment just taking a second to sit and center. Hape. Nick. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, my body's not saying yes to it right now. It's like, you've had enough right now, Nick. You're going to be okay. Let's jump into this. Let's dive into this. So, the nomading, and finally, we stayed a couple months at our dear friend Connie's place. And then from there, we were going to have to leave soon, and we didn't know where we were going to go. We were traveling with minimal amount of stuff. That was actually the least amount of stuff that we traveled around with. Kind of interesting for that. Like, it's just packing a carload or a carload of two. And then we went to Angel for our dear friends. And at that ceremony, when I met Mike, I was just like, oh, are you serious about being able to stay at your place? Because we'll take you up on that. And he was going down to Colombia, of all places, where Brent just was. And we stayed at his place. I got to use the Juve light, which was rejuvenating, as well as use the sauna every day. Oh, such a good place to be. And then recognizing how important it is for me to be in a sauna, and wood-fired sauna specifically, more so than anything else. And in the absence of that, using an electric sauna for now. And checking with my beloved, because if we really want to have a home that's a relatively reasonable cost, we have that ability and that capacity. So I will check in with her again once more. And then the other way to go is out in Chilliwack, right? Going out further in that sense. And it's further away from her family, which is one of the main parts of being here. So, one step at a time. One step at a time. Thank you to my dear friend Prabhu. Such an amazing connection we made. I did not expect that. So we made it all the way out to Mike's place, and then we stayed at our dear friend Angela's place for like another week as well. And then it was finally New Year's for 2020, heading into COVID without realizing it. Didn't even realize that was on the radar truly. And it was New Year's Eve 2 days before, or New Year's Eve itself, I think, that I found our new place. Signed the lease. My beloved didn't even get to see it live because she was at something else. Because we'd found a number of other places. We were going to say yes to another place, but it was just a little too small for me. This is a 1-bedroom. And we got there, we got 2 pieces of custom furniture made. One was the coffee table that actually lifted up, finally got that. So again, manifesting. And then got a live edge wood kitchen island that we used for a year, which is amazing. I oiled the crap out of those things too. I took such care of it. And then we had some ceremonies there. We had some amazing ceremonies there. And we had people stay with us, and we were pregnant without even realizing it. And we stayed there for just over a year. We even looked at homes before that year was up, put an offer down on a home, and then realized, what are we doing? And so grateful we did that, because yes, it was such chaos. And we had the ability to back out, and we did. It's so important to say yes and then say no to things. And to be able to see the yeses, to be able to see the nos. So, see the yeses and see the nos. Clear the energy, clear the energy, clear the energy. Reminding myself it's such a gift. Everything is a gift. Even a concussion, if we can look at it, being a gift. Because being with my dear friend, the body worker, who's just so present yesterday, her presence was so present. And then being able to go to that part of the mind that thinks it needs to go through hell. You don't have to go through hell. Oh my God, pure heaven, pure bliss. Go, 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 trust, trust, trust. And I trust so much more now. I trust, and you can keep layering on. I trust, and you keep layering on. I trust, and you keep layering on. Just thinking about some of the medicine and just really want to create a safe container and safe space. So what else is next? So let's go. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. So we are in Olympic Village. Then we get out to Coquitlam. We find a home, brand new build. My beloved's happy, 3-bedroom. We buy it. We get all the support to buy it. We buy it in the midst of COVID. We buy it and we start furnishing it. We buy it and we take our time with it because it's definitely a stretch. We buy it and the investments are going up right now, so I'm feeling really good about myself. Interest rates are low, $3,000 a month. I can afford this. Not only that, but my beloved then wants to get a zombie apocalypse car, and we definitely leverage ourselves more. And thank you, universe, for not over leveraging us. But we leveraged ourselves more and got this crazy truck camper. And it's funny because the universe is almost like, are you sure you want this? We're going to